Welcome back. We're on to video number 4, 5. Hell, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. So I made the spacer. Wedge, whatever you want to call it. Wedge is technically has a wedge shape, whereas a spacer is just uniform from whatever angle. This would be more toward a spacer. And there she is. Alright, we have the other color on already. We have peened the other side in the last video, which it's sitting nicely. You know, I just don't like the focus on these. There we go. It's sitting nicely. Sorry if that made you dizzy, but here we go. Get her down, put the nips on there, try to push down a little bit, apply some pressure so you know it's all the way through. Cover it, because she'll jump. Nip it off. Do whatever you want to do with that piece. That's extra garbage now. I wasn't prepared. Now, there isn't much left over there, but there is enough. Don't worry about trying to file this end after you nip that. You'll end up scraping or scratching the scales. There's no need for it. That extra material, if your nips are sharp, it's not going to be too bad. You just need to get it locked in there. There we go. She's most definitely locked in. Then what I like to do is I like to put a space in between there so you get the right angle. Be careful, I guess. Then I will hold it with that space there and I will peen. And just kind of roll around and make sure you get all angles of it. Don't do one side too much. Try to even it out. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Well, that'll work. Okay, so try to feel for some rough edges here. And once you get those done, then you can start angling it. Put an angle in the scales. And these are really light taps, man. Those last ones with the sliding motion, that's to smooth that pin out so it doesn't look like a golf ball. I don't know if the camera is picking this up. If you look at that one compared to that one, there we go. All right, that side is done. Now, go back to the Van Camp Special, super special pin popping anvil here. I did make one of these for a buddy recently. He has gotten into honing and restoring, and I'm super happy for him. Keep up the good work, M. He literally went from buying razors to honing shave-ready razors and restoring, and he just bought a pack of hardware from me, and he's done that in, man, it's got to have been weeks it's taken him to do it, and that's awesome. That's great. You know, we live in a generation, this society is always about easy this, easy that. I had a young man that works for the post office almost run me over with the postal truck as I was yelling at him and waving my arms trying to get him to stop so I could ship some packages out. But like any other time in his life, he couldn't be bothered to do any extra or pay anything attention outside of his own business. So for my pal to be doing his own thing, that's awesome, man. Get to it. Get to it. I'm always finding old razors that you can clearly tell were repaired at home, you know? I like that. Okay. So I do want to point something out on these scales. See that there? That is like a percussion injury. These center pins, forward spaced scales, they are so sketchy when it comes to putting in that last pin, which we will do the center spacer last, the forward spacer last. That always goes last. But if you pin that too hard, it will destroy your scales. And some of the nicer razors always have a forward pin. And we actually might go ahead and do a mashup and give it a brass forward spacer. I've got some capillary tubes laying around that will work just fine. Okay, so we got the back peened. Spread them apart a little bit. Get your pin to sink in. Oh, I'm glad I could catch that. You don't need it all the way in. Because you need your pivot washers. Oh. I'm not going to peen this because this blade isn't ready, but for sake of the video. Now see this here? That can be fixed with capillary tubes. So these are cheap, right here. That can be tapped out to take this. And if you tap that out and put a piece of that in there, you will give it a nice solid ground. So what I'm going to do is, we got 9 minutes on the video. I'm going to tap this out so we can put a piece of that in there. Clean up the blade, which I'll make a video down the road about cleaning, polishing, maybe even regrinding. And then we'll get back to it and we'll get this sucker built. All right. Okay, so that needs cleaned. Here's some things I would like to address. Not every nice, beautiful razor needs to look like a maniac hit it with a polishing wheel, all right? Polishing is nice. That is fine. But I wouldn't strip the lacquer off of a Model A because the drip edge has some corrosion in it. I will clean the corrosion, stop it from further corrosion, and then just clean it up. Obviously, we will have to clean this tang up here, tail. But we've got some slight pitting on the back of this blade. And it looks like somebody probably scuffed at it pretty good. But what we'll do, we'll just clean it up. We'll see how she goes. I don't think it's worth going through. I'm definitely not going to take the time with sandpaper and sand that down. It's an old used butch, Weight and Butcher. It's not a brand new custom piece, so we'll clean it up and we'll get it to where it can hold its own for what it is. We'll be right back.